For centuries, knowledge has been hidden in plain sight across the sands of time. Whispers of lost civilizations, cryptic symbols, and forbidden histories have been erased or concealed. What if the truth was never lost, but hidden? Welcome to Eye of Ancient Mysteries, where the past speaks and the future listens. Sit back, open your mind, and prepare to uncover the untold secrets of our world. Let the journey begin now. The Ark of the Covenant and what is inside it. The Ark disappears when the Babylonians conquered Jerusalem in 587 BCE. The Ark of the Covenant and what is inside it. The Ark of the Covenant is a chest for the original engraved tablets of the Ten Commandments, brought down from Mount Sinai by Moses. The Ark of the Covenant is a chest believed to have contained the tablets with the Ten Commandments, engraved by God. According to the Tanakh, the Hebrew Bible, and the Christian Old Testament, they were given to Moses on Mount Sinai. Built by the Israelites, according to the Hebrew Bible. The Ark was built by the Israelites while they were encamped in the Sinai desert after escaping from Egypt. The Hebrew Bible does not specify when they escaped from Egypt. Scholars debate whether an exodus from Egypt ever took place. The Ark disappears when the Babylonians conquered Jerusalem in 587 BCE. It has magical powers. The Ark possesses several seemingly magical powers, according to the Hebrew Bible. In one story, the Jordan River stopped flowing and stood still while a group of priests carrying the Ark crossed the river. Other stories describe how the Israelites took the Ark with them into battle, where its powers helped them defeat their enemies. However, the military effectiveness of the Ark in the Ark narrative is initially questioned. The Ark is captured by the Philistines and taken to the temple of the god Dagon in Ashdod. Writes Susan Ackerman in the Eerdmans Dictionary of the Bible, says Eerdmans 2000, edited by David Noel Friedman. When the Ark was captured by the Philistines, outbreaks of tumors and diseases struck them, forcing them to return it to the Israelites. Some stories describe how death would come to anyone who touched the Ark or looked inside it. Where is the Ark of the Covenant? According to the Hebrew Bible, the Ark moved frequently, but was eventually established in ancient Israel. The Ark ended up permanently in Jerusalem, in the innermost room of the temple. The story of how it arrived there is found in 2 Samuel 6, also in Psalm 132. One of the few explicit mentions of the Ark outside the Pentateuch and historical books. Writes Ackerman, in the Holy of Holies in Solomon's temple later, it is believed to have been placed in the Holy of Holies in Solomon's temple, founded around 957 BCE. With Solomon, the story of the Ark ends rather abruptly. Jewish tradition and most scholars assume that it remained in the temple for nearly 400 years until the destruction of Jerusalem by the Babylonians in 586 BCE. But it is not mentioned in the list of spoils the Babylonians took from the temple. This may indicate that the Ark was taken from Jerusalem as early as the late 10th century. As part of the military campaign undertaken by Pharaoh Shishak during the reign of Solomon's son Rehoboam. Writes Ackerman, what happened to the Ark? It is unknown what happened to the Ark after the destruction of the first temple by the Babylonians. According to the Book of Maccabees, the ark was hidden in a cave on Mount Nebo by the prophet Jeremiah. He said that this place will remain unknown until God once again gathers his people and shows his mercy. 2 Maccabees 2:7. Another story says the ark was taken to Ethiopia and is now in the Church of Mary of Zion in Axum. Supposedly, only the guardian of the ark is allowed to see it. But a scholar named Edward Ullendorf saw the ark during World War II and determined it was not the original ark. The story in the Quran, another tradition, places it in Jordan and is described in the Quran. The Muslim version of events is based in part on the well-known story in the apocryphal second book of Maccabees. This late Jewish text says that the biblical prophet Jeremiah removed the ark from the Jewish temple just before the Babylonians captured Jerusalem. Jeremiah destroyed the temple in 587 BCE and carried it across the Jordan River into what is now the Kingdom of Jordan. He hid it in a cave on Mount Nebo, the mountain from which Moses viewed the promised land before the Israelite conquest of Canaan, and then sealed the cave. Some of the prophet's followers tried to find the path Jeremiah had taken to locate the ark. He rebuked them and said that the ark, the sign of his covenant, would remain hidden until God gathers his people together at the end of time. The survival of the ark. There are many other stories about the survival of the ark, mentioned by Parfit in his book. There are tales of it being hidden near Jerusalem, in the city of Mecca, and even in New Guinea. One text, called the Treatise of the Vessels, says that the ark will not be revealed until the day of the coming of the Messiah, son of David. And the book of Revelation states that the ark will not be seen again until the end times. Then God's temple in heaven was opened, and within his temple was seen the ark of his covenant. And there came flashes of lightning, rumblings, peals of thunder, an earthquake, and a severe hailstorm. Revelation 11:19. What was the ark made of? There are two biblical stories describing the construction of the ark. The first and most well-known version appears in the book of Exodus and describes how a large amount of gold was used in building the ark. The second version, found in the book of Deuteronomy, briefly describes the construction of an ark made simply of wood. Understanding the stories surrounding the ark is challenging because of the differing accounts. Some scholars believe that several arks may have been constructed and used at the same time or at different times. The story in Exodus gives a highly detailed account of how God commands Moses to tell the Israelites to construct an ark of wood and gold. God is said to give very precise instructions. Have them make an ark of acacia wood, 2.5 cubits, 3.75 feet, or 1.1 meters long. A cubit and a half, 2.25 feet or 0.7 meters wide, and a cubit and a half, 2.25 feet high. Overlay it with pure gold, both inside and out, and make a gold molding around it. Exodus 25:111. Poles made of acacia wood and gold were used to carry the ark. 2 cherubim angels were to be sculpted from gold and placed on the cover of the ark. The tablets engraved with the 10 Commandments were placed inside. The cherubim are to have their wings spread upward, overshadowing the cover with them. The cherubim are to face each other, looking toward the cover. Exodus 25:20. The tabernacle. The Hebrew Bible commands that the Ark of the Covenant be placed in a portable sanctuary known as the tabernacle. A curtain was hung inside the tabernacle to prevent people from seeing the Ark of the Covenant. In front of the curtain were placed an altar and censers. The incense was made from resin, onycha, galbanum, and frankincense. Aaron, the brother of Moses, and his sons were to burn it morning and sunset. A man named Bezalel was chosen by God to build the Ark of the Covenant and the furnishings of the tabernacle, according to the Hebrew Bible. I have filled him with the Spirit of God, with wisdom, understanding, knowledge, and all kinds of skills, to make artistic designs for work in gold, silver, and bronze, to cut and set stones, to work in wood, and to engage in all kinds of crafts. Exodus 31:3-5. Oholiab was chosen by God to be Bezalel's assistant. Helped by skilled artisans, the Hebrew Bible recounts, during the reign of King Solomon, the first temple, the holiest site in Judaism, was built in Jerusalem. The Ark of the Covenant was placed in an inner sanctuary overlaid with gold, according to the Hebrew Bible. Deuteronomy, the book of Deuteronomy, on the other hand, tells the story of a much more modest Ark of the Covenant. It recounts that at one point the Israelites worshipped a golden calf instead of God. Moses was so angered that he broke the stone tablets engraved with the 10 Commandments. God commanded Moses to help create new tablets and to build a wooden ark in which they could be placed. Chisel out 2 stone tablets like the first ones and come up to me on the mountain. Make a wooden ark also. I will write on the tablets the words that were on the first tablets, which you broke. Then you are to put them in the ark. Deuteronomy 10:1-2. So Moses made the ark out of acacia wood and chiseled 2 stone tablets like the first ones, and I went up the mountain with the 2 tablets in my hands. The Lord wrote on these tablets what he had written before, the 10 Commandments that he had proclaimed to you on the mountain. Deuteronomy 10:3-4. Moses then placed the tablets in the wooden ark. Was there only one Ark of the Covenant? It is possible that multiple arks existed and were used at the same time or at different times. Before all Israelite cultic practices were centralized exclusively in the capital, Jerusalem, there were arks, likely of various kinds, everywhere that God was worshipped. These early arks would have been ordinary wooden containers. Writes Parfit, after Israelite worship was centralized in Jerusalem, the story may have been retold to describe a single elaborate golden ark of the covenant. Archaeologists uncover new evidence for traces of Noah's Ark. The team discovered a ship-like formation with extensive rooms. Beneath the deck, archaeologists once again claim that they have found traces of Noah's Ark in Turkey through radar scanning. With invaluable assistance from the Noah's Ark Scans team, American researchers used ground-penetrating radar GPR to examine the Durup Nar Formation, located about 30 km south of Mount Ararat, the biblical resting place of the Ark after the flood. The scanning revealed a chemical fingerprint, pieces of wood in the ground, and a awl-like shape. The data shows 3 layers beneath the surface, corresponding to the biblical description of 3 decks. We do not expect anything fully preserved. What remains is the chemical imprint, pieces of wood, and the outline of a large chamber. This is not something you would expect if the structure were merely a massive rock or a random accumulation of mud. But it is exactly what you would find if it were a human-made structure consistent with the biblical texts. The team also discovered a tunnel about 4 meters long running through the center of the formation, as well as structures up to 6 meters deep that may be under deck rooms. In addition to radar data, the researchers analyzed the soil. One noticed that the grass within the outline of the formation is a different color than outside it. This could indicate an artificial origin. The organic matter inside is twice as high, and potassium levels are about 40% higher. If you know soil science, you'll recognize this is typical of decaying wood. According to the researchers, these indicators, altered pH, high potassium, and elevated organic material, point to rotting wooden material. If this had been a wooden ship that decomposed over time, we would expect exactly this kind of evidence, explains Crabtree. The team plans additional drilling and expanded tests to compare the interior of the formation with the surrounding environment. Someone is constantly searching for and finding. Noah's Ark. Over the years, many studies have stirred controversy in academic circles. In March this year, an international team from universities in Turkey and the USA reported traces of marine sediments and shells in the same area, dated between 3,500 and 5,000 years, a period consistent with the supposed era of the flood. Here are a few more discoveries previously announced as sensational, though their authenticity remains uncertain. 1955 Fernand Navarra's expedition. The French explorer claimed to have found a piece of wood at over 4,000 m on Mount Ararat, later dated to about 5,000 years old. 1977 Ron Wyatt and the Durup Nar Formation. The American researcher was the first to popularize the ship-shaped formation matching the biblical dimensions of the Ark. 1982 astronaut James Irwin, the former Apollo 15 astronaut, organized several expeditions to Mount Ararat, but they ended without significant results. 2009 Noah's Ark Ministries International, a Chinese-Turkish team, announced the discovery of a wooden structure at over 4,000 miles altitude, publishing photos and video of the formation.